Good day, everyone. This is Dalen over here, and today I have with me a very special guest. His name is Johnny, and he is a seasoned designer with over 2 decades of experience spanning various industries, including comics, automobile, and secondhand goods, which is the company he is in right now. So, Johnny believes that exceptional design should seamlessly blend into our lives, offering intuitive experiences that feel like second nature. And Johnny is also very, very passionate about all facets of design and is someone who is also a coffee drinker that drinks at least a cup of coffee every single day. And today we'll be asking Johnny to share with us his career journey, pivoting from being an art director to a UX designer, and today one of the key leaders in the Malaysia product design industry, having recently organized the Design Leadership Kuala Lumpur conference with a fully sold out event. And at the same time, we'll be asking him to share with us his experience working for startups like Carsome and Mudah.my, which is part of the Carousell Group in Southeast Asia. So, Johnny, welcome to the show. My name is Dalen, and this is working in UX design. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, Dylan. Thanks for having me. It's such
Excellent. So today we're going to talk about your career. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Like how did you turn from an art director to a UX designer? What was the story behind that?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in KL. So after study my secondary school, so I continued to pursue a job. So all this while when I was young, I like to draw. You know, if you know some of those textbooks that we have, whenever there's a blank page or there's a blank space, I'm going to draw on it. So yeah, my all my textbooks full of my drawings. So it can't be transferred to other people because they complete a lot of drawings. So because my passion and my interest and also hobby at that time, I like to draw, I like art. Then I thought of I want to pursue in creative industry. So back then, I think during the 90s, there was no such thing called a web designer or even UI UX. So there's talks among the people and also my relatives saying that, hey, Johnny, you should be in advertising, you should draw advertising. Because back then, all the advertising posters are hand drawn. So my first job is actually nothing to do with design. My first job is actually making rubber stamps. So because that company, they offer to train me. So how to do the rubber stamp is that one of the requirement is you know how to use one design tool called Corel Draw. So back then, Corel Draw and Adobe was like the top app design tools in the market. So Corel Draw is the second. I think Adobe is the first one. But because Adobe is so expensive, so some people opt for Corel brand. So the tools called Corel Draw. And from there, I self-learned how to use these sort of design apps or design software to start learn about those basics like typography, alignments, colors, draw rectangles and placing here and there. So from there onwards, start my design career journey from being a rubber stamp maker to DTP artist, to become graphic designer and up to art director in a local agency. So afterwards, I sort of want to take a little bit different job setting. So I move on from my art director work and moved to Sydney for a year. So in Sydney, I took a student visa and study and doing part-time. So from sort of like give me a new perspective, learning about how to design for web and how to design for apps. So at the same time, I'm also taking freelance, designing social media banners, digital banners, and also landing page for simple
So,
promotion website.
Johnny, just to stop you a little bit over there, like when were you in Sydney actually?
Let me remember correctly, around
2014. It looks like it. You went to a school in Sydney.
yes, correct, 2014, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, and you mentioned, but in the school, it says that you're studying audio production. So, how did you end up doing web related stuff?
So back then, there was this music school, music production school, but it's not like really like a full-fledged school. It's more like a small institute where they are certified Ableton training center. So
Mm.
at the same time, I'm also like I like about music. I want to learn about audio production. So just want to explore a little bit here and there with web design, app design, and also audio production, because one of the course in the audio production is that you can create sound and make sampling. So I thought maybe can, if I happen to go back to KL, then maybe can continue my creative career where on board as a multimedia designer, where you can create videos and maybe jingles, or maybe anything that relate to audio design or audio productions. So that's why I complete my audio production course in Sydney.
Awesome. So, I'm very curious, who gave you your first break into, I would say, web design, right? Because that's really the entryway into doing UI and UX.
Hmm.
So, who was the company, or who was the client, or who was the that gave you that first big break?
Yep. So from there, I was there. I was in Sydney for a year. Then after that, I come back KL, and one of my ex-colleague who happened to establish his own a digital agency, which is called Digital Symphony. So this ex-colleague of mine, his name is Kuhan. First he hired me as a part-time designer to design some of those digital banners and also landing page. And then from doing part-time, convert to become full-time. So that is the turning point of me from being in graphic design, advertising, all the creative industry, transition to the UI UX today.
So the lesson over here is that you kept in touch with this guy, and he happened to start his own agency, and you ended up working for him because he did a lot of digital work and digital projects. And I saw after that you went on to take on various roles, such as like being an art director, such as being a digital lead for various startups. Was that a deliberate choice that you joined startups instead of like joining a bigger company?
Not really. So after that digital symphony company, my colleagues one, so I move on to another startup. So one of the startup is actually in travel tourism space. So they just started not long, and they hiring a creative manager to oversee the whole creative and the design part from digital to offline. So and then so happened that my profile fit to what they're looking for. So I on board and taking care of the whole design, from the revamp the whole website to creating and designing their tour packages, like all those posters, banners, and social media content. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so I think that's really some interesting stints you had right there, and I would say the first break into a very prominent startup is probably your first gig with 123rf.com, which is a stock image website, and quite a famous one as well, competing with the likes of the big boys out there. So how did you end up at 123rf?
So back then, so there was this like small issue happening in that travel startup. So that's why from there I shift my focus to try to get on board on a fully UI UX role. And then one of my friend introduced me to 123RF. And then after rounds of interviews, then we sort of like I got hired. So in the 123 RF, basically, I'm overseeing a team of UI UX design, and also in charge and leading the product product UX directions, and also strategy.
Mm. And this is really interesting because a lot of people don't know this, but this is an international stock photo website, but it's actually the headquarters and the founders are actually in Malaysia. So what does it feel like to work on a global product, right? Because so far you've only worked on in the Malaysia market, but now at 123 RF, you have a product or a website that is visited by millions of users all over the world. How does that feel?
Um, oh, first of all, the audience is a global audience, of course, definitely.
Mm,
So one of the interesting is that the whole business operations is actually streamlined in Malaysia office.
mm,
And of course, back then, before they restructure, I had a design team in Bandung actually. So there's two design teams in KL and also in Bandung. So one of my task is to travel between Bandung and KL, to guide and grow the design team there.
mm,
So in 123 RF, it's interesting because the audience is global. So whatever design or any sort of strategy, any sort of improvement or idea that we do, we need to take into account that there are international audience where they see and read content, copy, user flow, the checkout requirements, everything is so different. So we can't have like one size fits all. So especially on the checkout part, um, is one of those companies that we still have a conventional method to allow our customer to do payment. Like let's say in Malaysia, they still allow for the customer buy credits through check. So they will be depositing the check and then email the receipt to the customer support, and then the credit gonna transfer into the account. So this goes same to some of those region in localizing the payment method.
mm. That's really interesting. So what were some of the key markets you were designing for 123 RF?
The market itself, the site itself is actually accessible by almost all the major countries in the world.
Mm,
The only difference is that so starting from the user journey, starting when users search for something for a stock image or for asset, creative asset, is all the same. The
mm,
only difference is that at the checkout process, that is one thing different. Secondly, is that the some of those layout that we need to consider shorter content. Like example, the English copy will be probably two sentence long. But when user choose Chinese language or even Japanese or even Korean language, then that two sentence copy can be like super short, like really, really short.
mm,
So some of those things that we consider is also the language, the
mm,
characters that the local country use.
mm.
These are the differences that um, that we need to consider when we improving our user journey, when we applying any features or changes that might apply to the localized functions.
And I'm reading your profile and it says over there that you led a team of 7 designers. Is that also the size of the UX design team at 123 RF back in 2018?
Yeah, back then, so there was, if I'm not mistaken, there's 4 in KL and 3 in Bandung. So
Interesting.
basically handling different areas of the design. So back then, the 123 RF, there's two type of users. So one is the usual one, and another one is the enterprise user.
I
So
see.
in the Bandung team, where they are most of the time they focus on the enterprise side of things.
Okay. That's really interesting, and the fact that you hired designers from Bandung, I think that also is a testament to the creative talent there in Indonesia. I happen to have visited Bandung myself, and I feel like it's a very nice and lovely city, and the people are also very, very creative. Did you grow the team during your stay over there, or it remained to be the same?
Well, it remained to be the same. So because back then, we already working in a very optimized team.
Mm.
The only things that we grow is basically the skill sets of the team, whereby um, the industry itself is evolving very fast. So in a way, we gotta catch up with our competitors as well. So there are new things to learn. There are new areas of exploration that can we use in the product design and also in the business side of things as well. So example, like back then, one of my team is actually building the whole AI driven design tool. So it's basically that time AI still yet to
That's 2018
yeah.
2019 we're talking about, and your team was already working on AI.
Yeah, back then there was a few product of AI driven product that we start to explore and also start to build it that can help in video creating, that voice to text and text to voice, and also the
Wow.
video AI video generator.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So you got to touch and also experience how to design generative AI products
Hmm.
during your stint there in 123 RF. Okay, that's really interesting. What was most memorable for you working on say a stock photo international stock photo website?
I think one of the interesting part is that um, because the product that we are so-called selling is actually the stock image. Majority is stock image. I mean, there are also vectors, there are also fonts, there are also stock videos, but majority will be the photos. So the imagery, the technology in imagery itself is so huge, is so broad that there are plenty of room to explore in terms of um, how we revolutionize the imagery search, how we embed AI into the technology of imagery. Let's say example, how we can build an AI that can recognize image that help our content moderation. So because we call them contributors, so they are photographers basically. They
Mm.
upload all their photos for sale. So some of the photos are actually sensitive in certain countries.
Yep.
So we set those rules, we set those automation, we apply certain AI feature to recognize the sensitive part of the image. So those are the interesting area in this side of the technology because it's super niche yet very broad in terms of there's a lot of things to explore, a lot of things to revolutionize.
And I think that is actually really, really early head start in terms of working on AI and using AI as part of the stock image business. So I'm sure there was a lot of interesting things. And I'm pretty surprised that you only had such a small team working on it, but you're already delivering so much with that. And after that, you went to join Carsome, right? So for those of you listeners and viewers who are not sure what Carsome is, and Carsome is in the business of buying and selling used cars in Malaysia, and they are actually noted as one of the unicorns in Malaysia. Even this year, they are sort of saying on the business time that they're waiting for the right timing to IPO. So Johnny, you went from a international startup in Malaysia to Carsome, which is growing at that time back in 2020. How did you end up in Carsome?
Well, back then, there was this new opportunity that knocking at my door saying that they're looking for someone that can lead the design team and also can help expand the team as well. Because back then, 2020, I think around between those plus minus 1 or 2 years, Carsome has been rapidly growing and expanding very fast. And they also sort of like keep restructuring to optimize the whole team. So back then, they are starting to organize the team in a way that, okay, we need like a leader in design. Like we need someone to lead the design team because there's so many tools and products they start to build that time. So yeah, after I think in around March 2020, I joined them. I remember because just after a month and the whole Malaysia was going to lockdown.
Oh, so that was during COVID.
Yes, during COVID. So I
Wow.
just used to go to office for a month, around a month, meeting colleagues, getting to know the office, and traveling to the office, and then all of a sudden, the whole Malaysia went lockdown, and everyone worked from home for I think almost 1.5 years. Yeah.
That's definitely something of an experience. How was it for you as a leader leading a team that suddenly had to go fully remote?
Yeah, back then it was something new because I mean, personally, I never had a chance to work from home, like in locally, like work from home. Of course, when dealing with freelance clients, of course, I do work remotely, but that time because there are a lot of people like their product team, their tech team and business team, and also the leadership team. So, and the BI team. So there's a lot of teams going on. And then everyone locked down, everyone work from home, and we all keep setting meetings back to back, have discussions, have brainstormings. I want to talk to you, so I can't talk right now. I'm in a meeting, so can you schedule it with me? So it becomes just a normal conversation turn into a scheduled meeting. So that's why back then the whole calendar was full. And one of the
Lots of
challenges
meetings.
we are unable to, at least for me, unable to do some of those work that's supposed to hands-on. So have to push my own personal work until after hours. So well, it's work from home anyway. So we all work from early in the morning until late night.
Wow, that sounds really, really intense. What are you most proud of when you're at Carsome? And I remember at that point in time, Carsome was rapidly growing. They were trying to also target markets outside of Malaysia. So what is something that you're most proud of that your team delivered?
I think back then, because the whole product UX team just started, and at time there was when I joined, there was just one UX design, and then slowly I hired one more and then another one more. So I think end up around four of them. Then because back then there's only one product, there's only one product that require UX design. As the company expand, as the business expand, that they start to venture into another segment of the business, and then they venture into educations, and then they venture into doing refurbishment. So a lot more product that required in order to accommodate those new business venture. And back then, I knew that the product design gonna scale very fast, and if we not delicately prepare for it, then it will result in very messy in terms of the design management. So I sort of like start to create a design system with one of my designers. And then back then the design system was relatively very small because there's only one product. And then when there's another product, then we adding more components into the design system. And then the design system start to be built because back then most of our product is mobile app based. So the design system mainly surrounds the mobile app designs and all the components from it. Then until to the point where we work closely with the mobile app team to build the whole full-fledged design system that can be applied in any of the in any new product that the business required to build. Yeah, so that is one of those moments where I think the design fulfill their, not to say fulfill, like we managed to show our design values, where we start to build the design system, and with this design system it enabled us to deliver the product design, the iterations, the brainstormings in a very fast manner. So there's no need to for the stakeholders to wait us long turnaround time, to create wireframes, to create a new user flow or any iteration feedbacks.
Well, given the chance to do it all over again for Carsome, what do you think you might do differently?
I think I would still do the same. I would still do the same because back then, at least how I understand the business is that they are very heavily, it's a very operational heavy business. In every of those operation phase, they need a tool, or at least they need an app to ease their work. Like regardless if it's a sales operations, or it's an inspection operations, or it's a refurbishment operation. So it's very operational driven. So user, which means our internal employee, requires the mobile tool to be on hand and easily use it and access it anytime. So to me, I would still do the same, where we create a system that create a framework that can scale to any of the product or tools or apps that the business require. So that is the way, one of the way that how we understand the business and how we apply the design values where it fits to help the business grow.
Excellent. And I hear you were headhunted to join Mudah.my, which is part of the Carousell Group, and Carousell is one of those regional players, which is almost like the eBay of Southeast Asia, or Asia actually, because they're also in Taiwan. So describe your experience. You've been there for more than 2 years now. Today you're the head of UX and creatives at Mudah.my. How was your experience? How's your experience working at Mudah so far?
Well, it's been good. It's been good in terms of I get to do most of the things that I wanted to do, which is one is to manage and expand the team and grow the team. Secondly, is to be part of the bigger picture in the business and also in the organization. So this is where one of those rare opportunities that I had, that the business and the leadership team, they are open to hear what design can bring onto the table. So, and because of that, I felt that maybe it's time for me to, take a different level of responsibility. So in Mudah, I, managed to help change certain level within the organization, and also in the business, sort of like influencing how the business make decision, and also how the business, helping business to shape the product and also the user experience.
Yeah, so I just noticed that Mudah also does a marketplace for cars as well. So I think there's a lot of transferable experience that you had from Carsome to Mudah. But I think the bigger picture at Mudah is that, of course, it's about selling pre-loved items, very, very much like what Carousell is delivering here in Singapore. And I'm wondering, as the head of UX and creatives, what are some of your focus areas at Mudah?
So my team consists of UX designer and also brand designer. So overall, my team overseeing the whole design from end to end. So it's from starting of the user journey, where the user learn about or being exposed to what Mudah is. So regardless it is for the user who looking for cars, or for someone who looking for properties, or even jobs as well, or even secondhand goods. So from there, how we plan the user journey to convert them into a Mudah user, and then how we educate and onboard the user onto a Mudah platform, and also keep them stay relevant until any point of time, because in Mudah is so relevant that you can actually use Mudah for everything. You can find from cars to properties, and even to any of the secondhand goods, services, jobs, and also do hiring as well. So Mudah is already like a household name in Malaysia. So where my team looking after the user is not just from the design, the UX design point of view, but also from the offline side of things. So let's say take example in cars category, how we introduce to the user that they can actually sell directly to Mudah, and then from there, our offline operation will bring them to our inspection hub, to our retail hub, and then from there, all the designs that being set in the retail center are streamlined to what they see from the online. So that means we have a consistent branding, we have consistent messages, and we have a consistent user experience. Even the moment they take their car, the moment they take any of our brochures, or seeing our ads on anywhere on newspaper, or even on a billboard, all the look and feel is the same, and it is by Mudah.
And I think that's so important, that UX isn't just about the digital experience, but it's also about the physical experience, and it's the offline experience as well. And the fact that you come from a background, first being a rubber stamp maker or designer, and then eventually being a art director and print designer, and all that sort of like accumulates to what you're doing today, where you have to take care of all the different touch points in design, from print to online. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective now, looking back, right? And you're quite ahead of your sort of the industry itself, because you're one of the few senior local born few senior sort of like design leaders within the industry itself. So I'm wondering what kind of advice you would have for your juniors in Malaysia, right? Who are looking to join and head into UX and become UX designers. Would you recommend that they walk the same path that you did?
Yeah, I would say by all means go ahead. The reason is because in UX, the UX field itself, constantly evolving. Like last time it was called web designers, and I don't know what's the name called even before web designers. Back then I was too young to know.
Yeah.
The first encounter of in this field is or I know is called web designer, and then become mobile app designer, and then become UX designer, and then now become product designer.
Yeah.
Then what coming in future, then there's more specialized and niche title, like UX evangelist, like I know there's so many weird names that come out, I couldn't remember.
Yeah. Could be.
Yeah. In this path, there's many branch to it, whether you want to become a very specialized UX designer, or you want to be the generalist, or you want to tap into a managerial role in the leadership path. So there's no right or wrong in design because for everything that we do, it's always come back to what user really wants, how we improve the life, even for one user. And we can see that, and we can see the impact, we can see the outcome of it compared to the conventional graphic design area. But I don't mean that doing graphic design is no good. Of course, I've seen like really great design, branding, masterpiece, all those creative ideas that won multiple awards. Of course, no doubt in that. But if anyone want to transition to UI UX, I think definitely they can feel the impact, even though it's small. When they feel the impact, that is, I believe that's one of the source of inspiration for the UX designer. Even if you are junior, one small idea that can impact the lives of all your users or majority of the users, I think that's enough for you as a junior designer to keep on going in this path. So yeah, it's highly recommended, and to me, transitioning is just a small steps to it. And between conventional graphic design and UX design, there's a lot of similar skill set and also identical software, tools, methodologies, and also the creative mindset as well.
And thank you for sharing that, because I personally, now that we're in Malaysia and we've trained both in Singapore and Malaysia at Carousell, we definitely believe there's a lot of potential in the field of UX design. And we also do believe that it is one of the most impactful jobs any designer can undertake in their career. And I'm wondering, what's sort of your perspective on the Malaysia tech ecosystem, especially when pertaining to UX talent or pertaining to product talent? What would you say? Like, what's your observation in general?
So far, when I doing hiring, at the same time, I'm also looking at what are other companies that's also hiring the same, regardless it's a junior, interns, mid-level, or even senior. And I noticed that some of these companies I never heard of, I never seen before, and their nature of business is not quite tech-driven nature of business. Like some can be a very conventional business, like say example, selling textiles. Some even like they are in finance sector. Some even like startup in various areas, in laws, in pharmaceuticals, in healthcare. So what I observe is that nowadays every company, every business, they recognize they need a UX designer, but they yet to know what exactly a UX designer can contribute to their business. Most of the time they hire, let's say example, I'm just a startup and then I'm hired a UX designer, but I will ask the UX designer to create posters, to create banners, to create this logo for me, and do all those conventional digital designer or even graphic designer work. So that somehow is not good for the UX landscape, because designers will have a bad impression of what UX design really is. Only if the company, there's anyone with experience or background in design, in UX design, then when they hire any level of UX designer, I think that is something need to aware of. So for those who looking for jobs, really need to check their background, ask the right questions. If what is the expectations of this job, because job description can be very templatey, like they copy from here, copy from there, and then they just attract talents and, oh, I like you, I like your work, then hired, but do the not same as the the original job description intend to be.
Mm. So what I hear you say is that companies misunderstand the job scope of what UX designers can actually do and how they can deliver business impact.
Mm.
And that sort of shows that the industry is still quite in its early stage in terms of maturity. What about from the talent point of view? Do you have options and good options from graduates or from the local talent pool to hire local UX designers or product designers?
Yeah, I would say there is.
Mm,
So not every university, not every education institute, they have a very professionally curated UX course. Most of the graduates, they will undertake a boot camp. They will take a very short professional course like from Coursera by Google, the General Assembly and all those to get certified. To get to know what UX actually does, and also to create portfolio. Then
mm,
from there, they would use those sample of work, use those use case to treat it as this is my portfolio, and here you are. And whenever they apply for any at the junior level jobs. Yeah.
mm. So there are some talent, but it sounds like at least it's still sufficient based on the current demand
Mm.
right now. But you foresee, as I hear earlier, that this demand is going to keep growing, and businesses are going to start to mature and understand what UX designers can actually do. And also thanks to efforts, community efforts like what you're doing recently. So I had the opportunity to attend and also be one of your speakers for the Design Leadership Kuala Lumpur conference, which was held recently at Sungway University. So what was the objective of doing it? Because I understand that you started this community 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Back then, when I think this started when I was with 123 RF.
Mm,
So 123 RF, I would say, is a more proper managerial role that I get into.
mm,
However, I'm a bit struggling that time because it's when you get into this managerial role, leading a team, no one gonna, not to say no one gonna teach you. It's just that you need more guidance than ever. You need someone to ensure that how you manage your team, all those communication skills, people managing is the hardest part of the job. And I thought, why not I set up a community event and invite some of those design leaders and hear them out about what's being a design leader look like, and also creating this in one of the objectives is also to give back to the community. So at the same time, I wanna help the UX landscape in Malaysia, or particularly in KL, to grow, to mature, and like let everyone know, let all the UX designers know that they are not alone in their battle. They are not alone in their in what they are doing. Like I mentioned just now, most of the company misunderstood UX design, what they actually do. So when they join this sort of community, they can get to know, oh, you doing the same, your company treat you the same, oh, we are doing the same thing. So they don't feel alone. They can get advice from each other. They learn from each other, especially from the design leaders. So that's the first community meetup that I organized. And I find it very insightful, and I learned a lot from the first, I think, two design leaders, which is back then is a head of design, sorry, not head, is a lead UI UX, Sharif, and also another lead designer, John Takash, which is also part of the Design Leadership Conference speaker. So both of them are my first guest design leaders in the community event, in,
mm,
in, in the community meetup event. And then fast forward to today, grown into a conference scale.
Yeah, that's amazing, and congratulations for having a full house in the conference. That was a few hundred people in attendance at Sunway University, I saw. And and 4 years running a community event. What's your plan? What's the vision moving forward?
I think I can still continue this monthly basis community event. I think it's a good session on a monthly basis for everyone to get to know each other. And this is only one of those reasons the designer coming out and meet each other for real, instead of hey, let's grab a coffee and then, oh, I can't, I'm busy, this and that. So I think this can be a good reason for everyone, I think, in a larger audience, to get together and know each other. And also, I want to continue grow and foster the design audience, the design community in KL, particularly in KL. And also, the conference is like I would say, is a success, and probably looking to do another one next year. Finger crossed. Yeah, so that's my plan. To continue with the community event. But of course, one of the idea is that probably held the community event in other states, like example in the north, or maybe
Mm,
one the south. So
mm.
let's see if getting enough demand or not from both regions.
Well, that's a good plan to really start off as well. But I did meet a couple of people who flew in from Penang, and I think there were a few people who flew in especially for the event itself, even though they were not from Malaysia. I remember there were a few of folks I know in Singapore who flew in for your event as well. So all the best in growing that community and helping to elevate the understanding and the impact of design in Kuala Lumpur and Malaysia. And I'm just wondering, you know, as what are your lessons from building a community, right? I know some of it is during COVID, but I'm very curious, how does the work that you do in the community support the work other than learning, right? Support the work that you do professionally, or how does it impact you as a professional? Yeah.
So I believe this, by doing this community event, it allows me to learn more about the actual uh, use case. So often we read articles that written by any designers. It's not quite actually based on the use case. So during this sort of meetups, I get the opportunity to dig deeper into what's going on from that company, and also what does this design leader do, what actually there are challenges. So it constant continue learning for professionally. So the learnings is already different. Like last time, it's all about learning how to manage the team, how to become a manager. So at this point of time in my career, it's more of learn how to better strategize the design, better how better in influencing the company, the organization, in bringing more value to the users. So yeah, I think constant learning is one of those things that I enjoy by doing these community events.
And I want to hop on the last point you mentioned, which is about helping to elevate the companies as well. And we have a question from the audience over here. From your point of view as a design leader, how do you scale up the design maturity of an organization? And I'm sure you've been in organizations where things are not too mature when you were there. So how do you navigate that, where even some companies might not be familiar what UX designer is or do? Yeah.
Good questions. So first of all, I think as a designer, need to learn about the business, like our employer business, right? The company business. Learn as much as possible from everyone, not just from your manager, not just from your boss, but from every corner of the company, from customer support to if you have a physical store, then go down and talk to the sales assistant or whoever work in the at the store. Every corner of the company, just learn about it. From there, you will realize how the business operate and identify the opportunity to improve from the design point of view. So I mentioned it before to one of my designers that not every problem is a design problem. So as a designer, if we think strategically, if we think in a more broader manner, if we think the bigger picture, there are a whole lot more issues and problems around in every corner of the business, in every corner of the organization. I think from there, we able to translate our values to what we design actually do. Design is not always about pixel perfect. It's not about doing wireframes and doing screen design. It's always about helping the business solve problem. Your role as a designer can be a role as a solutionist as well. So we have the power, we have the skill set, and also we have the opportunity to bring people from every corner of the business together and help everyone realize that where the problem lies, where are the bottlenecks, where are the challenges, where are the difficulties, even offline or let's say business or operational based department, they could know one or two things about tech, one or two things about design, how we design, then they'll understand, this is how user journey is, this is what it means by end-to-end journey. So when they realize what you trying to do, then at the same time, I think every corner of the company will slowly complement and also accommodate and collaborate with design. So I think that's how one of the ways we can elevate the design maturity in a company. Yeah.
I think that's a really good recommendation, and the business will take a much longer time to learn about design, and not everyone has the luxury to go to design school to learn about design and how we think. So it's really a good step that you're recommending that designers learn about the business, and they should, because it helps them communicate better to their stakeholders. It helps them to do the job much better as well. And I hope the question has been answered. And I noticed that you're actually hiring a product designer for Mudah.my. So I'm just going to ask the question on the audience behalf. What do you look out for when you're hiring someone in your team? And this is what you put as a mid to senior level role, right? For Mudah.my. So what are you exactly looking out for beyond the job description? What is important to you as a hiring manager?
So to me, in this current hiring, is a mid-level role. So in mid-level, what I'm looking for is, first of all, I will get to see your portfolio. So from there, I will judge if your UI skills is already at the master level or not. Because at mid-level, you should be able to produce a good or a decent quality of high fidelity designs, and your design should be neat enough in terms of when I see the whole Figma canvas, okay, I know what is it about, that where you point out where to click, what happened from one page to another page of transition. So that is one of the requirements to be a mid-level designer. And of course, during interview, I would ask questions to gauge the product thinking mindset, the how much of user centricity that you will apply in your design, in your work, in your processes, how engaging you are with the stakeholders, like even though as close as with product managers, like how often you work with product managers or tech leads or even business analysts. So from there, can somehow gauge how engaging you are. Because to me, I think in mid-level designer, they should learn how to talk to people really. They should learn how to communicate and approach people. I don't have to worry about the UI design, the pixel perfect thing. By 3 to 4 years, you already know your tools, you already know the in and out, all the basic stuff about the grids, the typography, the colors, everything. So shouldn't be a problem. So what I see the potential is that if you are a mid-level designer, you should hungry for not sure hungry, you should at your utmost curiosity level ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. What is it about? Why do we do this? Why you have these solutions? And by asking questions is also show how engaging you are, how well you are approaching people. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing these tips. And for those of you who are listening or watching the video, I think in case you're interested to join Johnny and his team at Mudah.my, please keep a lookout and prepare yourself accordingly for the role. Now, Johnny, we're almost at the end of our session, and I'm just wondering, was there anything else you would like to share or say to our audiences here today? Many of them are looking to transition into their role or are in some way also struggling to help their respective business managers understand the value of design. So yeah, are there any parting words you want to share?
Yeah. So for those who looking into transitioning to UI UX, I would say by all means go ahead and do leverage the power of community. Reach out to any UX group on social media, regardless where is it or what group is it. Just reach out to people. Don't isolate yourself. Don't work alone, even though you are the solo designer in the company, but don't let being a solo designer stop you from growing and reach to the path that you want to be. I learned this as a mistake when I back then when I was a lot younger. I'm a very shy person, so I don't really talk to people. I don't really approach people. I keep all the thinkings to myself. That's ended up not good. Did a lot of mistakes. Didn't ask the right questions and waste a lot of time, waste a lot of energy. I think as a designer, one of the skill set that you should have is people skills, the soft skills where you communicate to people, you learn how to approach with people. Just a simple say, hi, hello, how are you? I'm Johnny from Mudah.my, where you're from. So that's a very simple, opening to simple gesture to open a conversation. So don't shy, don't be afraid, have more courage to reach out to the community, to anyone. Doesn't matter if it's design leader or junior or even any role that they are in the design community group. Reach out to them, say hi, and learn things from there. And your network, your knowledge, and your accessibility will grow from there. Once you have a certain level of accessibility, I think as a designer, you have more than online resources. Like online resources is you can reach out at any point of time. You can just search on Google, but the resources that you have on the ground at your local community, nearby people, the same industry, the same nature of business of people, this is where your real learnings are.
And I think that's such wonderful advice to ask designers to network. Your network is truly your net worth, and as you can see, Johnny's network is a rich one, and he has built it and invested in it over the years. And we have a career related question from the audience, and I thought it's also relevant. Many of our audience members here today are actually participants in your recent Design Leadership KL event. And he said that he has 4 years of experience as a UI UX designer, but he's facing an issue where during interviews, and if interviewers asked if they have experience working in UX research, but not much experience. So this designer is considering starting like a side project related to UX research. What are your thoughts about that? Would it help with his application? I actually don't know whether it's a he or she because there's only a surname over there. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that question, Tan. I think in my opinion, if you have the time, I think it's great to do a side project. Like myself, other than full-time as a head of design and creative in Buddha, my side project is, doing this community meetup, design conference and whatnot. And this also somehow helped me professionally. So I think your consideration of starting a side project related to UX research is super relevant, and it's also can be really helpful if your actual work, if your full-time work, your company don't have the luxury to do UX research. By all means, do a side project to demonstrate your skills and your passion in UX research. And do keep in mind that UX research is very broad. So there are a lot of methodologies that you can do. Maybe you can find one of those topic or content that actually impact people's life. Like you don't have to, you don't have to be a business owner to have something, to create impact. You can, like do let's say just an example, user research about your neighborhood condition. Like, oh, hi, go to your neighbor and ask, what do you think about the trash collector? Do you think they do a good job? And then, you can do your own user research and summarize those findings, consolidate those findings, and then put up on a Medium or on any of those platform, and then share it out. Share out. Who knows? One day that your neighbor council will actually read it and improve, your neighborhood condition. So we don't know, what's going to happen, but definitely if you do some UX research based on actual situation that can potentially create impact, then by all means go ahead.
I would definitely also echo Johnny's sentiment, and I would add that don't do it alone. Involve other people in the process, and I don't mean just users, right? I mean involve your own peers, and if you have friends who are also UX researchers, or involve them in the project, especially if you have a common interest in something, and you'll be able to learn from each other, right? Or like they would share things that you might not know, and you can share things that they might not know. So get together, work on something that you're all passionate about. Such a great question. And everyone, it's been a pleasure to have you here asking these fantastic questions. I also like to take a moment to thank our speaker, Johnny, for spending his time here today with us, sharing with him about his career in transitioning from being a rubber stamp maker to a UX designer, and also working for some of the most prominent companies here in Malaysia who are driving world-class design and world-class products. And Johnny, I wish you all the best with your team at Mudah, and also hiring that mid to senior level designer that you're looking for.
Thank you for having me, Dylan. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome, Johnny. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.